All right, and welcome back to Best Bets. I'm Matt O'Leary alongside Newsday's NFL's pick columnist, Joe Maniello. Joe, how you doing today?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It was a tough week for me. I went 6-9-1 with my picks to bring me to 48-61-3 on the regular season. You went 8-7-1 last week to bring you to 53-56-3 to round out the regular season.
Yeah, I had a good start to the week. I was 6-1 in the early games and fell apart.
Yeah, oh my God, I didn't have much luck at all. Pretty much after the first couple of weeks of the season, took a nosedive. So that was it for me.
You started strong, but it's the NFL. It's tough. And we only picked 5 games, so.
Exactly. So let's jump into this one, Joe. We'll start with Saturday's slate. The first game, we got the Colts and the Bills. Bills are favored by 6. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I like the Bills a lot. They're actually my best bet of the week. I was thinking about another game, but I think this is the more safer best bet. The Bills, it's not for that Hail Murray pass in Arizona. They'd be entering the playoffs on I'm pretty sure it's a 10-game win streak if they hadn't had that 2-point loss. And after that loss, they've won 6 in a row, and most of them have been blowouts. No single-digit victories, back-to-back 29-point wins a couple weeks ago. I mean, this team is on fire. Josh Allen's playing like an MVP. Sean McDermott is the most underrated coach in the NFL. They have a strong young defense, and I think this is a really dangerous team. I think a lot of teams are going to find that out. Last year, actually, Wild Card Weekend, they were also my best bet, and I was looking pretty good. Also, the first game of the weekend, they were up 16-0 at Houston, and then they blew that game and lost in overtime to Deshaun Watson and the Texans. I still can't believe they lost that game. But I feel like that kind of game can really teach a young team a lot. I think, if I'm McDermott, obviously he's smarter than me, but I mentioned that game a lot this week. Remember what happened last year? Remember how, we got to finish this game. It's 60 minutes and all the cliches and everything you can think of.
Oh, yeah.
I think Buffalo at home. I think, I like the Colts a lot. I think they're a well-balanced team. Jonathan Taylor looks great. But Phillip Rivers, even though he's had a really good year, he's always due for a couple bad mistakes, whether it be a pick or fumble or something. I don't trust him. So I think the Bills, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it's like a 38-27 kind of game, but I think the Bills control this game. It could be 14-0, 14-3, and then, the Colts get back into it. But I like Buffalo to win by double digits and stay hot. So Buffalo, best bet.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I like the Bills as well. To me, this is the hottest team in football, and the Colts, they play really good defense, and I think Phillip Rivers usually gives them just enough to win offensively. But going up against this, Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills team, he has to be in the MVP conversation. He's been phenomenal for them this year. And, I think that offense is going to be able to score against a really good defense, too, with the Colts, like I mentioned. But I still like the Bills. I don't think it's going to be as high-scoring as you. I'm going to take it. I'll go 30-20, so a 10-point win for Buffalo. I agree. I think it's going to be somewhere between maybe an 8 to 12-point win for Buffalo. Like you said, too, coming off a ugly loss in the playoffs last year, a game they absolutely should have won before a little bit of a meltdown there. But I think this is, like I said, the hottest team in football, and I think they are due for a playoff win at home. It's going to be a nice atmosphere up there, too, I'm sure, and the limited fans that are able to get in there. So I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it should be a fun one.
Absolutely. So next up on the slate is the Rams and the Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 3.5. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I like Seattle here. I'm a big fan of Sean McVay and the Rams, but even if Jared Goff plays, I don't think it matters. Seattle has won 10 straight playoff games at home, and Russell Wilson's 5-0 in those games. So he always makes a big play, and DK Metcalf and the defense has been just really turned it around. They were allowing over 30 points a game through the first 8. And the second half, the last 8 games of the season, they've only allowed 16 points a game. So I think that's a big difference here. I give the Rams credit for getting in last week. He owns the Cardinals, 8-0 against the Cardinals. But I just think Seattle's too much at home. I think they're the better team, the healthier team. But I think it'll be close. But I think Seattle wins by another low-scoring game. Both of their games this year were the Rams won the first game 23-16, and Seattle won 2 weeks ago 20-9. So they just played 2 weeks ago. So I think that helps. It helps both teams, obviously. But I think Seattle, they know what they're getting with the Rams. And I think at home, that's a big edge. Even without the fans, I just think Russell Wilson in that building, even without the fans. And I think it's another low-scoring game, like maybe 23-13. I think the defense, both defenses are playing well. And Aaron Donald does his thing, keeps it close. I don't see a blowout. But I think Russell Wilson gets it done and they advance.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Seahawks are my best bet this week. I love them at home. I know in 2020 it's not the same home field advantage that it usually is, but something about Russell Wilson in the playoffs, and I think this defense has really started to come into their own as well in the second half of this season, and I think this team is clearly the better one on paper, I'm with you. I like Sean McVay a lot, and I like this Rams team. I just don't know if I trust Jared Goff if he's good to go anyway against this Seattle team. I just think that, like I said, they're better. They seem like they're on a mission, and I think that they win this one. Maybe something like 27-21, something like that. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. I think both defenses will play relatively well. But to me, I think the Seahawks take this one pretty easily.
One more thing I wanted to mention.
Sure.
The key for me is make sure that Seattle has a first half lead, because McVay is a remarkable 36-0 when his team has a lead at halftime. So if they're up at halftime, I won't be feeling good about the Seattle pick.
Good to note. Next up is the Bucs and Washington football team. The Bucs are favored by 8. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, a lot of people look at this game and probably said, "Oh, Tampa Bay is easily going to win." I'm the exact opposite on this one. I love Washington, and they're almost my best bet. But my luck, they'll play them close, and then Tom Brady will throw a touchdown with 2 minutes left, and they'll get the front door cover. So I'm not going to touch it for a best bet. But I love Washington getting 8 points. I mean, the last time a 7-win team made the playoffs, they won, and the time before that, they also won. So this whole idea that they can't win, it's one game. The records mean nothing right now. Tampa Bay obviously has Brady and Antonio Brown's playing well, and Mike Evans is a little banged up, but I think he's going to play. They're obviously the better team, but I think people are putting too much stock into the whole Brady, making the playoffs without Belichick and possibly Tampa Bay playing, home Super Bowl. I'm not buying in on the Bucs. They beat nobody in December. They beat the Lions, Falcons twice in Minnesota, a game that Minnesota totally outplayed them in. So I don't think the Bucs are going to go into Washington and just drop 40 points. I think this is a low-scoring game. Ask any Giants fan how to beat Brady. Get up in his face. Justin Tuck and Michael Strahan. I think Chase Young does that. I think this is a low-scoring game. I have it Bucs 24, Washington 19. So I love the 8 points.
I'm with you. I'm taking Washington too, actually. I think the Buccaneers win this game, but I think it's maybe at best a 6-point difference. As you said, this Washington football team's, their defense is tremendous. And I think if they get pressure to Tom Brady, and this seems like the kind of defense that he would, quote unquote, struggle against, I see a really low scoring game. I'm going to take the Bucs 17-13, kind of old school football mentality. I don't think the Washington's offense is going to have enough to get the job done. And, Todd Bowles has done a really good job with the Buccaneers defense. But whatever the under is in this game, I'm highly considering taking that. And I like Washington as well. So give me Washington +8 in this one, too.
I had a feeling we were going to be opposite on these picks, but 3 for 3, both of us. One more thing on this.
Sure.
A Twitter follower of mine, a friend, Ryan Greenspan, I'm going to give him a shout out. Okay. When I tweeted that I liked Washington, he said the Jets had more wins against playoff teams, the Rams and the Browns, than the Bucs. The Bucs only beat one playoff team, the Packers, back in I think week 6. Washington's the same. They only beat Pittsburgh, but I think that was more impressive because Pittsburgh was 11-0 at the time. So
right.
But it's interesting. It's interesting that the Jets, the 2-14 Jets, have 2 wins against playoff teams, and the Bucs and Washington don't.
That's interesting. Good nugget to chew on there. The last one for Saturday is Ravens-Titans. The Ravens are... I'm sorry. That's the first game on Sunday. Oh, my notes are all mixed up. Okay. First game Sunday. Ravens are favored by 3.5. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I love the Ravens in this game. I think it's an interesting matchup because last year they met in the divisional round, and the Titans were the underdog after just knocking out Brady and Belichick in New England. And I think the Ravens might have been like 10-point favorites, I think, maybe, or 11. It was definitely near 9, 10, or 11. And they went in there and they just dominated that game. The key against Lamar Jackson is to get a lead early because he's not used to playing catch-up mode. That's how Kansas City beats him, and that's how Tennessee did it last year and the Chargers the year before. But something about this team, I don't know, the Ravens, the way they played the last few weeks, I know they really haven't beaten anyone great. I mean, they had that great win against the Browns at Cleveland on Monday night, the 47-42 thriller. But something about them, I think they're like, people aren't, because last year they had the, one and done, and then now everyone's picking Kansas City or Buffalo. I really think that I would not be shocked if Baltimore goes to the Super Bowl and even wins the Super Bowl. I'm that high on them. So I think they win this game. I'm not a big believer in the Titans. I mean, Derrick Henry's amazing. Tannehill's a good quarterback. I like Vrabel. But I think if the Ravens get going, if they score, if they get up 7-0, 10-0, 14-3, I think it could be similar to the Cleveland game in Tennessee a few weeks back when they're up like 33 at the half. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Obviously, I think Tennessee is a good team. I think it'll be a close game. But I think that the way the Ravens have just been playing, they seem like that, on a mission kind of team, similar to Buffalo. I can see I think the over in this game is going to be my hit in the third quarter. I love
there you go.
Whatever it is, high 50s, early 60s. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think both teams could even score in the 40s on that high on the over. Watch it be a 10-7 game. But Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, I mean, he looks like Ray Rice to me. Something about this team. I think they're in for a little playoff run. So I like Baltimore to win and cover. And it also tells you that they're favored. I know home field means nothing in 2020, but they're favored by 3.5. And the line hasn't really moved. So that tells you that people are, believing more in Baltimore than Tennessee. So I like them to win and cover. I forget what the pick I had in the paper. I wrote it. Actually, I didn't pick this game yet, but I see a high scoring game, 41-34 kind of game, 41-30, something like that.
Okay, let's make it 4 for 4, Joe. I'm on the Ravens with you also at -3.5. Like you said, man, this offense is just they cooled off in the middle of the year, but they've come on strong in the second half, and I think they're getting hot at the right time. Like you said, similar to Buffalo. Buffalo's playing their best football right now, and I feel the same way about the Ravens and that offense. I think this is going to be a motivated team. They lost to them last year in the playoffs in a game that, everyone thought, okay, the Ravens were a team they had at 14-2 regular season, something crazy like that. And everyone thought, all right, this is going to be the team that's going to, be competitive with KC, and unfortunately they didn't get out of that divisional game. This time I think it's different. Obviously they are in a wild card spot, so it's a little bit of a different angle. They could maybe work the underdog angle as a wild card team, but this is a really quality football team, and I think they win this game by, I'll say by 7. Give Ravens 34-27.
Yep. All
right, next up is the Bears and the Saints. Saints are favored by 10.5. Who do you like here?
I think we'll be different on this one. I'm going to go with the Bears here, plus 10.5. I do not like this game at all. I guess you're taking the Bears.
Yeah.
I don't like this game I don't like this game at all. The Saints, to me, are the much better team. If they play 10 times, they probably win 8 or 9. But it's the NFL. I think this game has like backdoor cover written all over it. 34-20 with like 2 minutes left, and Trubisky throws a touchdown to Jimmy Graham, and they cover. But I mean, the Saints. I mean, this might be Drew Brees last year. They've had so much misfortune the last few seasons in the playoffs. I think they're, a motivated, concentrated team, determined team. I think the Bears were lucky to get into playoffs 8-8. They had lost 6 in a row during the season. Matt Nagy was going to get fired. They're not a strong team. So I think the Saints. The thing that scares me is the whole Alvin Kamara issue with the COVID positive test. Is he even playing? I'm not even sure. Michael Thomas isn't playing, right? So I mean, they played earlier in the year, and Saints beat them by 3 in overtime at Chicago. So it's not like this. I don't think this is going to be a 34-10 kind of game like some of these playoff games are. I think it'll be a competitive game, but I think the Saints are the much better team, and they'll do enough to win. But 10.5, and you get the extra half point there. If it was 9.5, I can maybe make the case for New Orleans, but I'm taking the points here. Also with the Saints at home, you never know. Like, they always seem to lay an egg in the playoffs. Last year, I remember saying that there's no way the Vikings are going to cover this game. Yep. They were getting 8.5, and they won the game in overtime, 26-20. So it's the NFL. The Saints, who knows with the Saints, but I think they do take care of business, but not in a blowout. So I'll take the 10.5 points with Chicago.
Yeah, I'm with you. And in their last 5 playoff games, the Saints are 1-4 against the spread. And this number just seems way too big at 10.5. I agree with you. I think they win this game. I think it's a lot closer, though. I think maybe it's a field goal, 4-point game, something like that. I don't really like the Bears, but something about the Saints in the playoffs, it's just they have this thing where they just can't seem to get over the hump. Maybe this is the year they finally do it. I think I'd be surprised if that was the case after picking them to win the Super Bowl the last, 2-3 years in a row, it feels like at this point. But, for me with the Saints, I think they are obviously the better team on paper, and I do think they win this game. But that 10.5 number just seems way, way too big. So I'm with you. Give me the Bears plus 10.5. I'm 5 for 5.
Did you pick them to win the Super Bowl this year? I forget.
No, I did not. I picked the Chiefs.
Oh, Kansas City, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's a nice stat there on the Saints, 1-4.
Yeah, there you go. And the last game of Wild Card Weekend is the Browns against the Steelers. Steelers are favored by 6. Who do you like?
All right, 6. Speaking of 6, I think we're going to go 6 for 6 here. Based on the news, I don't see how you cannot take Pittsburgh here. Before yesterday, I was going to take the Browns to not only cover but win. I love them as an upset pick, feisty team, underdog team against the team. The Steelers to me are a little bit overrated. They were never a dominant 11-0 team. But I don't see how you can take the Browns now. Kevin Stefanski, who was my pick for coach of the year if I had a vote, he's not even going to be on the sidelines. And the 2 other assistant coaches are out with positive COVID tests. 2 players, including a good offensive lineman. I think he's a Pro Bowl player. I forgot his name, but Bertoni or something. But I just don't see how you overcome that. I mean, the poor Browns, if they end the playoffs, NFL's longest playoff drought since 2002. And then 2 days later, they find out their coach can't coach that game. I mean, that's like, the Browns or the Jets, the only teams that could happen to. So I just don't see how you overcome that. Plus, you got Ben Roethlisberger. He's 24-2-1 all time against the Browns. 24 wins, 2 losses, 1 tie. And that's an amazing stat. And I think they just have too many weapons. Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson. They have I don't like the Steelers that much, but I think the Browns have just too much to overcome here. I think it's I think it'll be close early on, and they'll rally around the whole no one's giving us a shot kind of thing. But
right.
I think the Steelers win this game like 27-20, but it won't feel that close.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're gonna make it 6 for 6 this week. I know, boring. I know, but I'm with you. How could you not take Pittsburgh? Like you said, they're without their head coach. They have a ton of guys dealing with COVID ever since they played the Jets too, and that's going on 3 weeks in a row now for them, dealing with COVID. So it stinks because they were a nice story getting into the playoffs for the first time since 2002. I know both of us were high on them going into last year and then kind of soured on them going into this year, but a really good storyline here in 2020. Unfortunately, I don't think they get their first playoff win. I think Pittsburgh, even though they limp to the finish line, they get their win. I don't know how much further they go beyond this, but Steelers -6. I don't really see how you can go any other way.
Exactly. It's funny how you mentioned how ever since they faced the Jets, both the teams that lost to the Jets, after they lost to the Jets, the season's basically falling apart. The Rams and the Browns.
That's a great point.
That's what happens when you lose to the 0-13 Jets.
Absolutely.
Or 1-14, whatever, 1-13.
So let's do some picks before we get out of here for rounding out the brackets. We'll do AFC first. So give me your remaining AFC bracket, and then I'll give you mine.
The whole way through.
Yeah, let's do it the whole way through. Why
Okay.
not?
All right. So, so we have the same teams advancing. So the way it would work is Pittsburgh, the 3 seed, will play at Buffalo. The 2 seed, I like Buffalo to beat Pittsburgh. Not easily, but I think Buffalo wins that game. They not dominate, but I think they win comfortably. So Buffalo beats Pittsburgh. And this is the tricky one for me. Last year I was the only one in the paper of the 4 football writers who didn't pick Kansas City in the championship game, the Super Bowl. And it came back to bite me with that late comeback, even though I felt like it was the right pick, but I'm not going to get into that. But you think I learned my lesson betting against Kansas City, but I don't think they're a dominant team. I know they had Patrick Mahomes, and they went 14-1 in the games the games they started. But there were plenty of those games where they won they barely beat the Panthers, they barely beat the Chargers earlier in the year. I don't think they're like the 18-0 Pats. I don't think they're unbeatable as so many people are talking about. I mean, the key obviously is Mahomes. I mean, no lead is safe with him. So if you're up 21-0 or whatever it was, 24-0 like the Texans, it's so hard to pick against him. He can come back against anything. But I'm taking the Ravens over. I'm taking Baltimore to go into Kansas City next week from Saturday or Sunday. Lamar Jackson to finally beat Patrick Mahomes. I think he's 0-4 against them. That's going to be my little storyline there. So I got Baltimore upsetting Kansas City in the second round, in the divisional round, and then Baltimore at Buffalo. I'm going to go with Buffalo.
Wow.
A few weeks ago, I started saying to myself, something about this team, I think they might go to the Super Bowl. I mean, obviously, Kansas City makes it. I will not be surprised. They're a great team. Mahomes, Reed, everybody, Kelsey, they have a great team. So this is not a knock on Kansas City at all. I'm not trying to be clever or anything. Like, I really think Buffalo is going to go to the Super Bowl. I think something about Josh Allen's season. I think McDermott is such an underrated coach. I just think they have the mentality of toughness. I think the main part is that they're the kind of team they can score 40 points. Like the Titans and Texans last year when they got behind against the Chiefs in the playoffs, they were done. Like, it was 20-0, and then all of a sudden they stopped scoring. Even if Buffalo, gets up early, I think they can keep scoring. I think they can put up 40 points. So that's a big reason why I think they can hang around with the Kansas City team if they do get there. Although I'm saying it's going to be Baltimore. So Buffalo is going to the Super Bowl for my AFC pick.
Okay. So I would also have Pittsburgh going up against Buffalo, and I'm going to take Buffalo in that game. I think the Bills, like we mentioned, they are playing their best football right now, and Pittsburgh, they kind of limp to the finish line, but they get a nice, gift of a matchup in the first round against a very beat up Browns team without their coach. So I'll take Buffalo there. As far as the Ravens in Kansas City, I like Kansas City. Not necessarily disliking on the Ravens, but my concern with picking the Ravens in that spot would be if the Chiefs get out to an early lead, I don't know if Lamar Jackson would be able to throw his way back into a game. He hasn't really proven to do that. Yep. He hasn't really proven to do that yet. So that's why I'm souring on that for now. And then in my AFC Championship game, I have obviously the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Bills have been a great story this year, and they probably are the best chance to beat Kansas City, but I still think that team, great coach in Andy Reid, best quarterback in the game. I don't think Buffalo's quite there yet. They are knocking on the door, but I don't think they're quite there yet. So I will take Kansas City representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Probably the smarter pick.
It's a little chalk, but oh well.
Well,
How about the NFC?
Yeah, the NFC, I feel pretty strongly about the AFC picks, but the NFC, I think, is wide open. So the way it would work would be, hold on, I'm having a brain freeze here. Who would be the Green Bay would host Tampa Bay, right? The 5 seed?
Yep.
So Green Bay versus Tampa Bay, and then the other one would be Seattle at New Orleans. So Tampa Bay, Battle of the Bays. I would not be shocked if the Bucks beat the Packers because they beat them earlier in the year, but that was week 6 in the cold. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams with a week of rest. I think Green Bay would win that game. I think they have enough. So it would be Green Bay hosting the winner of Seattle, New Orleans, and I like Seattle. I don't like we talked about with New Orleans. Who knows what to expect with this franchise in the playoffs? I know you can't really put too much stock into past years, but then again, if it happens more than once, it's not it's not really a coincidence. So maybe something's going on. Who knows? But I'll always take Russell Wilson in a close game. I think he always seems to find a way. So then you have Seattle at Green Bay in the championship game. They played last year in the divisional round, and Green Bay won. Wasn't a super close game, but Seattle had a chance late, but Green Bay kind of controlled the game. And I'm going to go with the road team here. I'm not a big believer in the Packers. I know Rodgers having a great year. He's going to be the MVP. But I like Seattle to go in there and get your buddy Jamal Adams to the Super Bowl. And we'll have the Jets, Jamal Adams versus Buffalo repeat. So I'm going to go with Seattle. I think Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf finds a way to win a close game in the cold in Lambeau. And I think that – if Green Bay wins, I would obviously won't be shocked. If it's Green Bay, Kansas City, will not be shocked. 2-1 seeds, but I don't think the either one is dominant. So I like Seattle, like Russell Wilson. People kind of not soured on him, but like early in the year he was the MVP after a month, and then he had a couple bad games, and like no one seems to talk about him anymore.
Right.
So I think maybe he feeds off that and has a big playoff. So I'm going Buffalo and Seattle in the Super Bowl, and I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl in a high scoring game, 41-34.
Okay. I like that pick. Good for them. They deserve that. That fan base really deserves it. So that would be cool to see.
That'd be great. And the funny thing is, early in the year, they played at Seattle, they played at Buffalo. And I think we both took Seattle. It might have been the game of the week or maybe not. But I took Seattle, and Buffalo dominated that game. They won, I think, 44-34. So similar score. But I think it'll be a high-scoring, great game. Buffalo 41, Seattle 34, Super Bowl 55. There
you go. For my NFC in Green Bay versus Tampa Bay, I'm also taking Green Bay. I know that Tampa Bay beat them up pretty good in the regular season. This time going into Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, I know it's Brady, but without Belichick, I don't know if it's going to be the same thing. I really like Green Bay this year. I love their coach. I love Aaron Rodgers' resurgence the last couple of years. To me, he's probably my MVP pick, even though I think you can make the case for a few other players as well. And then for Seattle and New Orleans, I'm also going to go with Seattle. I just don't trust New Orleans in the playoffs, and maybe that's just recency bias and, got to put that stuff in the past. But something with this team, they just can't seem to get over the hump, so I don't trust them. I'm going with Seattle. And then in the Seattle versus Green Bay NFC Championship game, I am going to take Green Bay. I know it's chalk, the 1 versus the 1, lame. But I really like Aaron Rodgers. I think he's having a phenomenal year. Again, like I said, he's my MVP if I had a say in it. And I really like LaFleur. I think he's done a phenomenal job there. And I think they are slightly better on paper than Seattle. So I am going to take in the Super Bowl an old school matchup, Chiefs versus Packers. And I will take the Chiefs in a classic 34-31 win, and they will repeat as Super Bowl champions.
Well, the NFL, I think the NFL wouldn't mind Buffalo, Seattle, but they would love KC, Green Bay, rematch Super Bowl one with the early ones, and Rodgers and Mahomes, and they'll be doing cartwheels if they get that one.
Absolutely. So let me just run through these quick, through our picks. They're all the same, so it'll be quick.
Yeah. Don't even repeat. Just say we both have.
Both have Bills -6 over the Colts, both on the Seahawks -3.5 over the Rams, both on Washington +8 over the Bucks, both on the Ravens -3.5 over the Titans, both on Bears +10.5 over the Saints, and both on the Steelers -6 over the Browns. Joe, thank you so much for hopping on with me. We'll see how we do next week for the divisional round.
Yeah, that was a fun one. All right, great, Matt. Thank you.
Perfect.